What's up everyone? So we're going to run through some ranked Marasai gameplay I had. I've been playing it recently and kind of tearing it up in this character. So I want to talk through it and tell you my thought process and all that sort of stuff. So something I really like to do when I'm playing this character is go for a lot of like speculative hooks essentially. I don't always have to like try and mechanically outskill based on a hook. There's ways you can do it, whether just like intellectual intelligence based stuff. So you see this guy right here, right? You know, when you hide around a corner, they're probably going to be where they were when you toss it out. They're not going to see that you're using your hook, and there's a good chance you can hit them with it. So peek, you know, you jiggle peek right there, hit it, and you get a lot of those hooks. Now you have to aim, so you have to kind of anticipate like where they were going to be and all that, but it tends to be pretty valuable. Also, by the way, when you get hooked by a Marasai, spaz out like that. It makes it really hard for them to hit you in the head. So that can save you sometimes. May not, you know, necessarily in that situation have saved me, but you know, right, point. Then we get a hook and it pulls him into the wall. Basically, by the way, whenever you get a hook, you can kind of expect it to slide on whatever. Like if you played Exia, anything that has like a slight angle towards what you want it to be, like if this wall here is like 44-degree angle here or whatever, or it's like a, you know, like an 89-degree angle, you'll slide along it basically if you're to punch it as Exia. But if it's the opposite, if it's like 91 away, then, or, you know, away, right, it won't. And that's kind of how walls work. Since it's away the angle that I pulled them into, they don't slide at all on it. But something you're really going to see from this sort of gameplay here, it may seem like us just kind of, you know, rolling them over and over again, but really what it's showing is how you can waste so much time with aggression. So it's 439 right now. Let's see how much like how many fights they can get in the whole time period. Side note, always shoot these things. So my Sazabi and I are playing really aggressive. We're pushing forward. Another speculative thing. When you don't like, from like the speculative hooks, you don't want to always just go for speculative hooks because there's times where you want to have it and sure you can get a kill and just by your mechanics. But in this sort of a situation, when you can expect them potentially to not peak for a full 10 seconds, it's viable to use, or, you know, like a good like 6 seconds. So I used it. They're like kind of fighting here, but like, you know, they're not really poking too much. Now that one was a waste on the side there, but it's just like the more you're outputting it, the better, essentially. That one was really close. But anyway, something we're really doing here that's really important, something you can do as an individual and as a team, is we're contesting very aggressively. So this is our first contest spot, and they have a chance to die in this contest spot. We do too, but since we're defensive, we have an advantage, and if we do die, we get faster respawns. We end up chasing this Exia, so that messes with that a little bit, but nice little ult to the Pale Rider. Always ult those. Trading your ult for Pale Rider's ult is a solid choice for sure. So, again, back to the same spot. This is honestly even like a really aggressive place, right? Like that's point 0. And so then point 0, they poked us out of it. I got a kill, but they poked us out of it. Then you back up to the next defensive spot. So a little bit too aggressive. Time to, you know, see if this mega's available and then dip. Or keep poking. Feeling really aggro, feeling limit testy today. Because I took so much damage, I end up having to back up like fully. But what you can do is you can essentially just like stop them at every choke point. Every like micro choke. And then you poke them and you go for kills. And if they survive it, then you back up. Then you do the next one. Then you back up. Then you do the next one. And it can work like that very consistently, especially if you have something like heal. If you have something to heal you on your team, or there's good health packs. The health packs are a little bit sparse in this area here, but this is like the best place to do it in the whole map, essentially. Definitely, like, anytime you have a chance to throw a hook on this sort of a corner, it's super advantageous. Especially if you don't know where, like, if I don't see my teammates here, it's even better. Because if my teammates are on this side, like, you know, over here, right? And I toss this through here, there's two chances I'm going to pick up somebody. Someone over here trying to peek, like, oh, I'm going to, oh no. Or someone over here peeking. So I have 2 opportunities. And it's such like a heavily trafficked area that you have such a good advantage to be able to try and grab someone there anyway. So definitely give those a shot. And here you can see after we got forced out a little bit, I mean, I left to go get health, but now we're at the the next level choke. So this is what, like the 4th choke point you can contest people at, which again is why it's really good to have healing on your team, because you can keep this uptime, you can keep contesting the same chokes over and over and over again. Don't miss your shots, kids. It is a bit hard to click on things that are above you, but oh no, I got hooked and killed. Oh no, hey, I got res. It was a huge res, but oh. Go next. So pushing back into these areas, you really want to try and secure the high ground. I really do want to play from that same high ground over and over again. You basically have the choice to rotate up to this high ground or rotate to the, to the side, right? And then up the stairs and all that stuff. This is like a safer option, safer and faster, but it gets me exactly where I want to be, so it's worth me going through here. It doesn't expose me as much, and it gives me the angles to see what's here so I can back up from it if it's too dangerous. But as you can see, keep contesting these little angles. I always want to try and retake this space. If we can push them further and further and further back, the better. And honestly, we've been staggering them now for like a minute and a half. Or sorry, like 2.5 minutes now. They had like kind of a decent fight, but they're always getting staggered. They have to take a 6v6. They absolutely have to take a 6v6 fight against us, or they'll never capture the point. Just because of the way respawns work. On any of these point capture maps, it's super, super important to like understand that you can trade. Because if I killed someone and die right now, and we both get full wiped, it's a 5v5. But I'm going to respawn and get back to the point. Let's see how long it takes me to respawn here. So 13 seconds, right? Take me 30 seconds to respawn, assuming I don't get rezzed, right? And 30 seconds for them to get respawned. It's going to take me 5 seconds to walk to the point. It's going to take them like 20, right? 15, maybe let's say 15. And I'm going to have better positioning anyway, right? So that's looking at a huge difference in time that I'm able to just like constantly come back. And so if you're trading consistently like that, and I'm not saying like go run off an int on purpose, but trading consistently will get you huge positions of advantage in these situations. Just for time-based stuff. Ultimates are too strong in this game, by the way. I see these two people, boom, they both die. Lol. Or that I miss my shots, but it really is too free. That was quite the jump. And you're gonna see me immediately after this, go finish this kill down here and or get to high ground. So right now I'm sitting here and I'm like 35 seconds. If I pick anything, like if I kill something, they don't have a chance for a full team regroup fight. And so it's worth me doing what I'm about to do. I decided to fill like a full flank, and I'm like, I'm trading for sure on somebody. Because I'm confident I can hook somebody and then full trade. And I end up being successful with that. Not even successful, I don't even die. Because that makes me more successful. But as you can see, it's just constant holding of the objectives or holding of each corner. So like, you have the corner down here, here, one behind me, then further back, and it's just always just like beating them down. Like, you should imagine the enemy team like having to hold this giant shield, and they're like pushing and they're pushing and they're pushing and they're pushing and they're pushing, and you were just beating them with arrows and stones and pouring hot oil on them and all this kind of nonsense. That's what your like mentality should be about this kind of stuff. So something I haven't really talked about other like in one of these, this video, right, that I talked about in my Marasai guide, is how Marasai is a main tank in a lot of ways because of the way that his hook works. So assuming my hook was a little bit longer, or like this rock was a little bit closer, this area that they're in is now a threatened zone. And so any character in that area I can threaten really hard. And since I'm a bit tankier, and since I don't have to like hit scan, aim down, peek for it, I can use that as like a main tank sort of process. So I can basically like walk into an area then use my hook to force people out of it, or they die. And that's very similar to Sazabi, like pushing into them and shielding them until and shooting them in the face with a shotgun until they die or they back up. So, by the way, this, yeah, unlucky. This guy just rolled me. But that's basically how it should be played. So say like, you know, I'm at these boxes, and then let's just say there's like some more boxes over here or something. Anywhere in this area is now threatened. And so I can go for a hook, and I go for the hook. If I get something, I kill it, then I walk into that space. If I miss, I just wait. Or I start fragging with my primary fire. It's very valuable and consistent. Also, try not to push up on the top of the boxes. It tends to be very bad. You tend to get out-angled. Not always, but tend to be. These guys are just standing out in the open. Absolutely don't just stand in the open, and don't chase things with 300 HP like Mr. Bingo did. And don't end like I just did either. So I do end up pushing through the high ground here, just because there's nobody contesting it. Like, if you can push through the high ground because no one's contesting it, then go for it. But usually it's better just not to, because it becomes too like vulnerable. Especially if you're standing like right where I am. If you're standing right like here and trying to fight from here, you're gonna get surrounded on two angles. Because you have people shooting you from main, people shooting you from over here, and then if people like shoot you, you try and like hide from them and back up a little bit, you're still in this guy's sightlines for a very long while. So it's dangerous. Now, attacking into this objective after we clear these guys out a little bit, there's two important sites in the objective. Also, getting both of these kills is really good because I'm farming myself some extra ultimate charge, which is not something I really need to be doing right now. And sometimes you can just toss a hook at a Sazabi. Sometimes they'll drop their shield. And also there's like a pretty solid time period in which it doesn't work. By the way, it's some sort of adjustment. It doesn't work after you hold it up for a short while. But anyway, this high ground right here gives you sightlines on like all of this high ground essentially. So if there's this high ground, and then there's the high ground that we're on right now. Good teams will defend this high ground, and then they'll defend the high ground I'm standing on right now, because you control all the angles onto the choke point, or onto the entrance, both entrances. And so this is why I'm fighting for it, because if I force them off that high ground, they lose all of their defensive advantage, and we can walk up onto it and we win. I end up dropping though, because it's a little bit out of my angle, like out of my range, and I'm confident I can get like pretty good value pushing from bottom here. So that's what we go for. Something that's really important to think about too. So I distinctly remember when I was playing, this is something I started thinking about. I saw that hook go out. I tried to hit my hook, I missed it. And then I was thinking right here, I'm like, oh, he shot his hook 2 seconds faster than I did, 2 seconds earlier. So he has his hook like, you know, in 5 seconds, is what I was thinking at the time. You have to be really thinking about these important cooldowns. If you don't think about important cooldowns, you will get hit by them frequently. Something like, for example, let's just say you are using, like you're playing on, I don't know, let's just say like they nerf Zaku melee ult, so it's not just super insane and all that nonsense, right? And it's a little bit more like slower, more controlled. So say you want to get a good Zaku melee ult, and you know they have a Marasai on their team, you probably should hold that cooldown, that ultimate, until they don't have their hook. So for example, say you try and bait it, say you pay attention, but doing things like that and then knowing like how much time like a cooldown has on it, like what, you know, how long it takes to get it, will let you survive in a lot of situations. Because if I don't know what the Marasai's hook cooldown is and I'm not paying attention, there's a very good chance I can just walk into it and like, you know, walk up into a Marasai. And it's just like, that's how you start thinking about things. You start thinking about like threats that can like beat you. Like you walk up onto a Marasai and you don't go like, oh, okay, I'm time to click on it. You go, how can this thing kill me? Oh, it has a hook. Ignore that ultimate. I was trying to max range it. But he just dashes. It was a bad ultimate anyway, but you know, sometimes you just go for stuff. So, once you push through here, I turned around because I saw the Pale Rider. I saw this guy right there, and I was like, oh, he might flank, right? I need to stop him from taking the high ground because the high ground is really, really good. So I was playing here, and I'm like, oh, I don't see him. Look over here, and I'm like, oh, hello. So I got the nice little hook. If he wasn't there, I would have checked again and turned around. But yeah, holding these high grounds is freedom. There's just nothing they can do to you. Like, how can they get you off? They have to contest the point, and you just absolutely roll them. So controlling this high ground and the one in front of us is really, really, really good. And yeah, that's how you roll in Marasai and ranked and climb a bunch, I guess. If you're looking for some more Gundam Evolution videos, then make sure to check out my mobile suit guides. I made one for all original to 14 mobile suits, and I did a Should You Main guide series also, covering the same mobile suits and talking about whether you should actually main them in Gundam Evolution or not.